YouTube! Welcome back to the channel here on the Fantasy Football Perspective. I'm with Jim, bringing you our weekly show, the Football Betting Perspective. How you doing, Mr. Jim?
Doing great. Had a great week last week when you can, pick three college and then pick three pros and then go 2-1 on each. That's pretty good. Almost went 3-0 on the pros. That was close. It should have been, but had a great week last week. This week's a little tougher, I think. So gonna have to really analyze everything. I've looked it over pretty hard, and I know college is going to be tough. Pros, a few games scare me, but man, I'll tell you what, I'll take a week like that last week, 4-2. Give me it all day long. That's money in the bank.
Yeah, that was a great picks by you, my man, last week. And you were up in Michigan, able to bet on those games, and you kind of just shared something with me off air. How about you give the audience that advice, especially on those pro games, to kind of raise your chances of hitting those games? I think that's great advice that we kind of overlooked, that we haven't really talked about here on the Football Betting Perspective.
Yeah, as a rule of thumb, I don't know how many years I've actually bet and then lost by half a point, lost by a point. In some cases, a push is just as good as a win, and at least your money's not being exchanged, in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So for a while now, I'd say for the last 2 to 3 years, I always buy a point, especially in the pro games. And I always try to keep it to a football number. So if it's -7, I'll buy a point, take it down to -6. If it's -4, like I did in the Raiders game, I'll buy a whole point, get it down to -3, which that ended up being a push. But always, especially in the pro NFL, and buy a point. Buy a point if you think it's going to be close, and then it just increases your winning percentages every time.
I think that's such good advice, because you don't even realize how many games, especially in the pros, are decided by 3, 7, 10, 14 points, those magic numbers, and they put out these lines like -4. I mean, that's setting up for heartbreak. And
yeah, and it was. I mean, because I'm sure a lot of people, took the Raiders in that game and took the -4, and a lot of people really don't think that you can really, whether it's a sports book or online, you can buy points. Now it's going to cost you a little bit more.
mm-hmm.
It costs you a percentage, but a lot of times, like in that game, it was well worth it. Like I said, taking it down to -3 and getting a push out of the deal.
Yep.
But a lot of times, I've come out on the winning in that. So that's one thing that I do all the time for sure.
I love that advice. I think that's great advice, even taken to the college football game. If you
Yeah.
have those, especially those weird numbers like 4, 8, 10, 15, 11, 15. Those ones that are like one away from a football number,
Yeah.
those are the ones that you want to focus on. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but a push is better than a loss. And if you took a point in that Raiders game, put it down to a -3, I mean, you're walking away with your bet instead of, forfeiting your whole bet. And I think that's great advice, man. I love that.
Well, yeah, and even think if the spread was 3 on that game, if you buy half a point and you got it -2.5, you win.
Yep.
So that goes hand in hand too with like you said in the college games. I mean, always get it under a football number. So if it's -7, get it to 6.5. If it's 10, get it to 9.5. So that gives you a chance to win. Or if you just get it to a football number at the end where there's a possibility of a push. That's the best way to go.
All right, I love that. So digging into our last week's schedule, I went 3-3. You went 4-2. Like you said, you went 2-1 in college and 2-1 in the pros. I went 1-2 in college and 2-1 in the pros. Somehow I'm getting better at pros than I am college as we get going, and I was horrible at the pros at the beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and dig in. Spreadmaster finally coming through and clutching up the Arkansas +5. They won outright, and damn did they look impressive. Spreadbuster, I mean, he might be on my shit list now. I don't know what to think about the Spreadbuster. So we have to decide who we're going to go with out of these two moving forward. But let's dig into the games of last week, and let's start with my not so lock of the week in Michigan State -5 at Nebraska. I loved this game. Night game, Michigan State Stadium. They never got it really going. It was scoreless at the end of the first quarter. I have to admit that I was up at the Ohio State game on Saturday, so I didn't get to watch, but I actually had this game on my phone watching this instead of watching the Ohio State game. So that's kind of funny. But Michigan State just never got their offense rolling. Nebraska's defense is very underrated. I thought they played really well defensively. Michigan State scored actually most of their points from special teams if you look back at the game. But they did squeak by a win. And taking your advice from earlier, the spread was -5. They win by 3. It might have been something worth buying a couple points if possible, if that's an option to get me to a football number, because if I would have paid attention to that, I at least would have pushed. Did you get a chance to watch this game, Jim?
Yeah, I watched the game, and you know, it was one of those games, Luke, where Michigan State just couldn't put them away, and they kept coming up with some big plays and let some big plays happen. Martinez, I'm not a big fan of Martinez. I think he's a very, very average, if maybe a little below average quarterback. But he was able to get away several times there in the end, and we're in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. I mean, he made it close, and then they ended up going to overtime. It was an exciting game. But Michigan State had its opportunities to really win by, I think, a couple touchdowns. They just didn't capitalize. They didn't execute. So they're still a great football team, and I think Nebraska is being, especially with Mr. Frost, I think he's being desperate. He needs a win, for sure.
I mean, it's the Martinez show there in Nebraska. I mean, the dude had 21 rushes, 72 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Yeah. So, I mean, I personally kind of felt like Michigan State was going to treat them like they just treated Miami a week ago. Miami's a quarterback-centric team that runs the ball a lot. I was expecting the same outcome. Disappointed. I'm glad they got the win. I think Michigan State's a dark horse team this year to make some noise, but I expect them to win by a little bit more. All right, going back to the spreadsheet. Your lock of the week that was locked and loaded. Toledo minus 4.5 against Ball State. Break this game down for me. I remember looking at the halftime score. It was 14-9. I was like, a little closer than I thought it was, but they snuck out this game, covered the spread. What do you think?
Yeah, I was switching back and forth, through this game, and Toledo just, this game, Toledo could have scored a heck of a lot more points. They got across the 50 multiple times. Had the ball in scoring position and then just come out flat, or something happened, or they went, they didn't convert a third down. There was just a little off, a little flat, but then they ended up prevailing and coming back and winning, and covering the spread. So overall, still Toledo's a good football team. Mm-hmm. Ball State was at home, so I think that kind of amped them up a little bit, trying to get a home win. So, but overall, I really thought that this was going to be the outcome. Actually, I thought, it would probably be something like 32-12 or 32-10 or something like that. So, but Toledo definitely had their chances, but, it's a win.
Ball State home opener. I think it was their conference home opener at that.
Yeah.
They were ready to play, and they played better than expected. I
mean, that's one thing, and they're not too far from Toledo, because they're on the Indiana-Ohio border.
Yeah,
and so somewhat of a little bit of a rivalry there, but
good call right there, though, Jim. That was a good pick. All right, my pick number 2, and I will be quite frank about this. North Carolina minus 12.5. This is the only pick that I've made here on the fantasy football, football betting perspective, where I didn't even really have a chance. Georgia Tech just ran it down their throat, man. I mean, 261 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. I got to watch this game up till the third quarter there. I think North Carolina had like a 14-13 lead. Then I turned the game off. I was going in and out of service at the Buckeyes game. And then I turned it back on, and they got beat 45-22. That's insane to me. North Carolina's defense is trash. You can run it all day against that North Carolina defense. Keeps the ball out of their explosive offense's hands, and that's how you neutralize the North Carolina Tar Heels. Just a complete miss for me. I just thought that, and honestly, North Carolina did move the ball. I mean, they had 300 yards passing, which is what I expected them to do. But that Georgia Tech running game, that triple option, that ball management, that long sustaining drives was just a huge, huge problem for that North Carolina defense. And they're going to be problems. They're going to be in a lot of games at Georgia Tech just because they're going to do so much ball control. Did you get a chance to watch this one, Jim?
Yeah, again, I watched a lot of this game too, and very, very disappointed in North Carolina. But they were really all over Hal. I mean, they were pressuring him, constantly. They couldn't get their running game going, and I mean, Georgia Tech's defense just really stepped up. I mean, they were just always. I mean, it just seemed like North Carolina had no rhythm whatsoever on offense. And then Georgia Tech, man, they just pounded the ball on the ground, and they had no answer. North Carolina had no answer for them. So open my eyes to Georgia Tech. They're a pretty decent football team.
Mm-hmm. They hung tight with Clemson the week before.
Yeah.
And here they are with North Carolina beating the brakes off them. This is definitely my biggest miss on my personal perspective on how this game would go so far on the football betting perspective. Your next pick, big time pick right here, ladies and gentlemen. Arkansas plus 5.5 against Texas A&M. Not only did they cover, they won the game outright, and they came out on fire, 10-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. Arkansas is a very, very good team. Defensively, offensively well-rounded. Think they can make some noise this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I watched the Arkansas-Texas game, and that's when I was sold right then and there. I mean, they give it to Texas. The quarterback, he's a big quarterback, strong quarterback. He's tough. And then, as far as how their defense played, they were so quick and fast. And, then I got to look at the head coach of Arkansas. Here we go. The coach, man. Yes, sir. Right. That's his saying, man. Yes, and this guy, this coach for Arkansas has a lot of deep ties. He has Georgia ties, so he's got a pedigree.
Oh, yeah.
And the players really love this guy. The Arkansas University of Arkansas loved this guy. It was a great pick for them for a head coach. This head coach is real deal. He's genuine. And like I said, he's a player's coach, and these guys will run through brick walls for him. So look for Arkansas to continue to do better. But when I watched that Texas game, I was sold.
Yeah, I mean they looked fantastic. I mean Texas A&M's known for having one of the most ferocious defense in the whole nation, not just the SEC. And Arkansas moved the ball pretty much at will, almost had 400 yards.
You beat Jimbo Fisher. You beat Jimbo Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
But, the thing about Arkansas is a complete team, offensively and defensively. Yep. They had answers on both sides of the ball and the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. They're going to cause some problems in the SEC. This won't be the last team that they defeat. Moving on, my next pick, I picked Northwestern, minus 15 against OU. Stood pat. I just think OU, like you said on our last show, is top 3 worst college football teams in the nation. Offensively, it proved right again. They barely touched 300 yards combined. They can't move the ball worth anything. And look at this Northwestern rushing attack. 373 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. Quarterback doesn't have to do anything when you're getting that kind of production. He had 88 yards with a 17.7 QBR. Just a complete domination. I mean, they're up 17-0 at halftime. I saw that. I was like, okay, this is over. And they ended up winning 35-6. Not much more to say about that. The spread just wasn't large enough when I looked at that. Wish I would have picked that as my lock of the week, to be honest with you.
Well, I tell you, they Northwestern knew exactly what they were going to do with them, and they're going to control the clock and the football, and they did just that. And again, Ohio, man, they're right there at the bottom. Mm-hmm. This week they got a chance to win this week.
I did see that. I almost looked at them, and I don't know if I want to tell the audience right now before we get going, just making sure that we are recording. Sorry. We had some tough picks for college football this week. We just talked about it off air. I was like, they were hard finding this week. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I do think I found some that's worth sharing, but it's getting slim. These lines are getting better and better and better as we get going. So stay tuned because a lot of those games out there are coin flips at this point. And that's what Vegas wants, to be honest with you.
Well, hey, week 5, Las Vegas is getting smart. They're starting to get smart.
Very smart.
And week 5 is tough. So.
And they're throwing out some tricks out there too, and making it look a lot more, a lot better than what it should be in some of these cases. Your next pick, the only college football game that you didn't get right, the Iowa State -7 at Baylor. Baylor actually came out ahead. Are you impressed with Baylor, man? They look good.
I tell you what, this was one of the better football games that I watched over the weekend, and watched the whole game through with Iowa State and Baylor, and Baylor being at home, which they took the home field advantage here for sure, and my eyes are open to Baylor, but I got to say that Iowa State had their chances, man. They turned the ball over. Purdy threw an interception. There was, I believe, there was a couple fumbles. They really struggled a little bit, as far as on offensively, but they had their chances. They went 3 and out sometimes, just couldn't get things rolling, but then they would get it rolling. But Baylor just kept on the throttle, man. They got a solid football team. They really do. Offensively too. Look out. They can score at will.
Yep, they are very good offensively, but I got to give some props to this Iowa State defense. I mean, they didn't even give up 300 yards to the Baylor Bears, and Baylor is known for their offense. So that Iowa State defense is legit. I thought that was a solid pick by you. I think you're right. The home field advantage was just a little bit too much.
I think that was the difference. And then when Iowa State finally started the second half, they came roaring back a little bit, and they had they made their halftime adjustments, because you got to think it was 21, 21-13 at halftime.
Yeah.
So like I said, Iowa State, Matt Campbell and them made their adjustments, came out and, scored 10 points in the third. Looked like they were going to get control of the game, and then just kind of fell short there at the end.
We had the privilege to look at these Iowa State games, a couple weeks so far. I think Matt Campbell has to be up there with one of the best halftime adjustment coaches that I've seen. Yeah. His first half to second half of performances have been pretty crazy, and this proves it again. I mean, they almost come back and win this game being down, 21-13 at halftime, and they always make it interesting. They hit those right buttons in the locker room and come out, and they damn near win every game that you look up here.
Yeah, they make good adjustments, that's for sure, at halftime.
All right, moving on to the NFL. The first game we both picked. We went with the Thursday night game, and those damn Thursday night games are always more interesting than they should be. Christian McCaffrey limps out of the game in the first quarter. I'm getting nervous. I'm sitting there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Davis Mills goes down the field right before halftime, scores a touchdown. You're like, what is going on? Darnold fumbles twice, recovered by Houston. Whew. But in the end, the result was what we thought it was going to be. Yep. Panthers just too much offensively. Texans not enough offensively. Tell you one of the big misses in the fantasy football world I missed this week was Brandon Cooks. They just pepper him with targets. Like I told you, I thought if I was a defensive coach, I am taking Brandon Cooks out of the game. I'm doing whatever I can. And I know that from the sideline, and it's like they still can't take him out of the game.
Yeah.
I also did say
finds a way. He gets real good separation from the defensive backer. He finds a hole. I've got him on my fantasy team, and he's the only one of the main reasons I won this week is because of his performance. But he finds a way, gets separation. He's a great receiver.
And on our daily fantasy perspective show, I mentioned this guy, Anthony Miller. I'm just going to bring him up one day. First game of the season for the Texans. He finds the end zone, and he was the cheapest play, the cheapest possible price on FanDuel this week. So if you got him to that in your lineups, you probably won some money on this game. But yeah, good performance by the Panthers. They did what they needed to on the road on a short week. These Thursday night games are wacky. But you bet your damn ass that I'm picking one again this week, boys. So you wait for that. All right, moving on. my first NFL pick that we didn't pick together was the Broncos minus 10.5 against the Jets. I said similar experience of the Jets when they played the Patriots, and it was the same exact thing all over again. Jets look abysmal. They have no rushing game. Zach Wilson looks lost. Any above average defense is going to cause them major problems, and it happened again. I think the Broncos are kind of getting blown out of proportion right now. They are 3-0, but the combined record of the teams they played, drum roll, 0-9.
Be careful.
Yeah. So be careful betting on the Broncos. Those lines are going to get tempting. They are 0-9, ladies and gentlemen. They have played the Jets, the Jaguars, and I can't remember the other team off the top of my head, but they are combined 0-9. So be careful. Your NFL pick, spot on. You picked the Bills minus 7.5 against Washington football team. What did you see in this game, Mr. Jim?
Total domination.
Oh.
Bills are the real deal. They're got to be a front runner for make it to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship. They're the real deal for sure. Just good all the way around play. Josh Allen is unbelievable. He controls the offense so well. He's definitely leading that whole team, and he's in control. So there's no doubt to see that. And their defense is awesome. So they really controlled. They let up a little bit there, but got right back in control. So Bills, man, they're tough.
I mean, that score is even closer than what that game really was. I mean, some garbage time points from Washington made it a little closer, but I think at one point it was like 43-14, and so many weapons on that Bills offense. Who are they going to guard? It's just so many weapons.
Yeah.
Great performance.
Well, and they started pulling their, they didn't want to get anybody hurt too. Started pulling there towards the fourth, especially on defense. So, that's a smart move on the coach's part.
Yeah, great. One of my picks, the NFL pick of the week that I messed up on, Colts +5 at Titans. They had a chance to keep it close. It was 10-14 at halftime. They come out, kick a field goal. It's 13-14. I was like, hell yeah, I'm about to cover. And here comes Mr. Derrick Henry, Mr. Fourth Quarter. When the defense is worn down, they give the ball to Derrick Henry, and he just runs 20 yards every single play, it seems like. It doesn't matter what defense is out there. Great call, great offensive attack from the Titans. They looked good. They keep running that offense through Derrick Henry. Success is going to happen. It's very nice to see Derrick Henry getting some catches this year. I know that you fantasy owners are pumped up about that. Just a good overall performance by the Titans. They looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, they like you said, just completely the defense is completely worn out. He just run right over top of it. The train was rolling.
I'm not really understanding what the Colts' offensive identity is at this point in the season. They have Jonathan Taylor back there who has workhorse potential, and they just don't really feed him the ball that much. He averages like 10 to 15, 14 carries a game, and if you feed him the way that the Titans feed Derrick Henry, that could cause a lot of issues, take some pressure off Carson Wentz, and open up a lot in that passing game. And I just don't get it. I've watched it, 3 weeks in a row now. They're 0-3, and I think if they just play their offense through the run, they'd have better success.
And the Colts not a bad football team.
Definitely
not a bad football team at all, offense or defensively. I mean, they're pretty tough defensively. So.
Great defense. You're on the bad pick of the week, lock of the week. Unfortunate, really, is the Raiders and Dolphins. Man, I think we had this. What were we at? Up by 8 with.
You know where the real difference was right in the very beginning of this football game, and right away Derek Carr throws a pick six right out of the gate, man.
In the red zone.
Oh my gosh! And he went all the way length of the field. So I'm like, and then they turn around and then they score, immediately again, and all of a sudden. Las Vegas is 14, down 14. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if they're going to come. I was getting nervous, but they got things together. They came back and won the football game. But if you take those 14 points off the board, it's a different ball game.
Oh, 100%. They just came out a little flat. And can't do that in the NFL. Like you said, this NFL is unpredictable. Even when the matchup seems too good to be true, these are professional football players. Backups or not. Jacoby Brissett, we talked about this off air. We both think he's a better fit for this offense than even Tua himself. He pushes the ball downfield. He has some rushing upside, and he's just bigger. He's going to be less injury prone. And, I mean, look at these targets from some of these receivers and receptions. They're getting 10, 12 receptions. You didn't really see that with Tua very much.
No, Brissett's a winner. And I remember when Luck, ended up retiring and he came in and he was the quarterback, and man, I thought they were going to do bad, but he came in and did a great job for the Colts. And of course, he came from Mr. Belichick, so when he was under Tom Brady for so he learned a lot. There's no doubt about it. So he's a good quarterback. I think he's better than Tua. I think that he's more mature. He runs the offense pretty well. He knows where the sticks are. Gets first downs. He's definitely a good quarterback. For sure.
So good. And are these Raiders for real, Jim?
They are. I think they are. I think in this game, I think they kind of were looking at the Dolphins not being a weaker team, and the Dolphins came right out and smashed them in the mouth. I mean, it's NFL football, just like we said, and I think Nick Saban says it best. I mean, you can't get complacent. You as soon as you think you've got the hammer down and it's over, and you just drop your guard a little bit, man, all of a sudden, you're down 14-0.
Yeah,
and I think that's what happened. I mean, the Raiders had to get woke up there, and they did. So, unreal.
I still think that was a great pick by you. I know it didn't hit, but you said you ended up did by the point, get it to a football number -3, so it was a push for you. I mean, the rate from start to finish, even when they were down 14 to nothing, you could just tell the Raiders could move the ball at will. Their offense is spectacular this year. The Vegas over-under on the Raiders wins this year was 6.5. I wish I would have had some money on that because they are going to beat that pretty handedly. I think the projection probably at the beginning of the year when they were going through the games on the simulator had 0-3 at this point, and they are the opposite. So there's some very winnable games in their future, and gosh, keep on chucking. Good weapons out there. All their young receivers are coming along. Plus you got Renfro in the slot just getting open every time somehow.
There's another guy that creates separation. He's, he definitely can, find the open spots in the defense. And, man, he's a go-to guy. I mean, he's in the clutch. He's Mr. Clutch, man, as far as I'm concerned.
So good.
Yeah, unreal.
Still think it's a good pick, even though it didn't go in our favor. So good job. One more time, our picks of the week, week 4. I went 3-3. Jim went 4-2. Our locks on the year, 3-1 and 4-1. So keep paying attention to our locks. We seem to be doing pretty good right there. And you ready to dig into this week, Mr. Jim?
Yep, like you said, we talked off air, and this is a tough week, for sure. But I'm gonna start with a Friday night game in college.
Okay, let's do it.
BYU at Utah State.
BYU at Utah State. Let me bring this up real quick, Jim. All right, we got the spread on the BYU Utah State is -8.5 BYU.
I tell you what, I think that BYU's been underestimated. I think that the coach, his players are playing for him real hard. This is another game here in Utah, so kind of a rivalry. I don't think Utah State's really played any talent, so far. So that 3-1 is misleading. Overall. So, look out. I think BYU definitely wins by 2 touchdowns in this game.
It looks like the last just okay team that Utah State played, they got destroyed by Boise State.
Yeah, exactly. So then you got to ask yourself, is BYU as good as Boise State or better? I think they're I think they're better than Boise State. So that's kind of a determining factor for me. So I think BYU wins by at least 2 touchdowns in this game. Utah State hadn't played nobody.
I really like that logic. First game for me, going kind of similar to what your kind of logic with this BYU game is. I'm going to go to this Florida-Kentucky game. And I know it says Kentucky 4-0, but let's go down here and see who they played. They played South Carolina, who has a quarterback who's a grad assistant. UTC, I don't even know who the hell that is, and they beat them by 5. Missouri, it's Missouri.
Yeah.
ULM, you tell me who that is too. I don't know who that is. And we come over here to this Florida competition. They're destroying the likes of Tennessee 38-14. Alabama losing by 2 and coming back against probably the best team in the nation. I don't care if they perform poor there. Destroying South Florida and beating FAU. And you're giving me the Florida -8. I'm taking that all day for kind of the exact same logic that you just used in that Utah State game. Who has Kentucky played to give them an 8-point underdog against Florida? They're not even in the same caliber of teams. And I know conference, SEC can make a difference home field, but I just think it's a little bit too close. Give me Florida State, or give me Florida -8 at Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Florida played toe-to-toe with Alabama. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to tell me right there. So, I like that pick, Luke. I like it.
All right. To your second pick of the week in our Sizzling Six college football. Who you got, my man?
All right. This, like I said, this week, this is my lock. The lock of the week.
I love the lock. What we
lock
doing?
Is coming out. Hey, here we go. We're beating the spread.
Oh!
We're going to beat the spread on this one. This is the lock of the week. Here we go. Texas Tech at West Virginia. If you guys watch this game, West Virginia is for real. They beat Virginia Tech. They hung in there with number 4 Oklahoma. Come on. This is a game. Who's Texas Tech played? Look at their slate.
They did pretty well versus Texas. They lost 70-35.
Exactly. So who have they played? And the only team that they really played in Texas is they don't really have a great team this year. But give me West Virginia in this for the lock of the week at home. By the way, it's a home game, so I like that even better. Lock of the week. Mark it down. Beating the spread.
Beating the spread, baby. I love that. I'm kind of upset that I missed this game, man. I really am. Look at this. I mean, West Virginia has played some tough competition.
Right.
They should have beat Oklahoma. They had every chance in the world to beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. They beat Virginia Tech at home. You're going to tell me that Virginia Tech is not as good as Texas Tech? Get out of here.
Come on now.
Lock
of the week. Mark it down.
Mark that down. That's a great find. That's digging in. I love that.
I had to dig for that one.
I love it. I really do love that a lot. So let's get in. I guess I'll do my lock of the week, and I'm going up to Iowa. This Iowa-Maryland game. But I'm not picking the spread, Jim. I'm not picking the spread.
I was going to say.
My man, I am going. This was under 48 when I looked. I'm going to go with this under 48. I think here's a stat that really spoke to me a little bit ago. Let me ask.
I know right where you're going because I kind of looked over this game. I looked over the game. I was kind of I've got it marked down here, but I picked other games over this one. But I see where you're going for sure.
This is a stat that blew my mind. I'm a Big Ten fan. I follow Big Ten football. I watch the trash-ass Ohio State defense every single week. And you mean to tell me there's a team in the Big Ten, Iowa, has not given up more than 24 points in 26 consecutive games? What?
Right.
Where's that? We have a team that's that good defensively in our conference, and that they have not given up more than 24 points in 26 consecutive games.
Yeah.
Give me a low-scoring, close game. I'm not touching that spread. I'll tell you that right now because that game's going to be close. They expect it to be close. It's going to be close and low-scoring.
Yeah.
Lock of the week, under 48 points, Iowa versus Maryland.
I like it. I mean, Maryland's got a hell of a defense too as well. So, they, like I said, that's what I looked at. I looked at their both defenses, and I looked at that game, and I'm like, man, no way am I betting going to go against the spread on this. But as far as the under, and that seems like a very high point total for that game.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I like it.
24 points they haven't given up, and that's half the spread. If they're not giving up that, I mean, that seems too good to be true. This is when I look back in a week and they gave up 79 points to Maryland, but that's beside the point.
And if I had to pick, who Maryland being at home, you look at the quarterback there, to his brother, he's put up he's thrown a lot of TDs. I think 11 TDs this year. I can't read that.
He threw up 10 TDs. He already has 1,300 yards.
Yeah, no, he's so I'd give the edge to Maryland being at home there and maybe squeaking one out, but it's going to be a tight one, and it's not going to be big scoring.
And Maryland has an impressive resume. They beat West Virginia. They beat Illinois, who beat a pretty good team at the beginning of the season. I'm kind of brain farting right now. I think it's going to be a lot more low scoring than we give it credit for.
Nope, I agree with that.
So I dug deep for that one. All right. So what is your next college football pick of the week, Mr. Jim?
Next pick, Saturday, 3:30, Nevada at Boise State.
Love it.
Give me Boise State at home, -6.5. They cover. I think they covered at home. Nevada, again, I'm looking at the resume, who they played. I don't think they played anybody like Boise State. I think, their wins, just aren't there. So, again, I think that Boise State covers the 6.5. Should be on a.
Got it.
Yeah, there it is.
Mountain West.
Yep, Mountain West. Yeah, so they're Nevada's 2-1. Again, I look at their resume. I just don't think that those two wins compared to Boise State's win and Boise State being at home. I like the head coach at Boise State. He has his guys playing really well. It's a really good offensive mind. If I'm not mistaken, and I got to dig for this one, but I think he's the Boise State coach. I'm not for sure. I could get this mixed up, but I think he came from Oregon. He was an Oregon offensive coordinator, I think.
Let's check it out real quick.
And I'm not sure. I just seems like I think that's – but he's a good coach, without a doubt.
He's a defensive background, Andy Avolas.
Gotcha. No, okay, yeah. With Oregon. Yeah, he was with Oregon.
Yep, Oregon. He was the defensive coordinator for Oregon Ducks.
Okay, that's where I got it. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember because there's another head coach out there that came from and I'll have to look that up, maybe talk about it next week. But he's got some good roots. Again, good head coach, good head on his shoulders. Give me Boise State -6.5. Still 6.5, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, 6.5. Looks good. Yeah. Hey, is this a game that you would buy a half point in to get it to 6?
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. If not even go down to -5.5, and get it under the 6.
Yep, I like that. I like that even better.
Goals. Give me the whole point. Give me down to -5.5.
All right, good pick there, Mr. Jim. I'm going to my last pick here, and I'm going to last week's loser of the week. Honestly, of the game of the week, this Texas A&M. They're only favored by 7 points against Mississippi State. And my prediction is Jimbo Fisher is going to light a fire under this Texas A&M team. They're at home. It's their conference home opener. They played at a neutral site last week against Arkansas. So they have a night game in Texas A&M conference home opener against Mississippi State. We look at the common matchups. LSU just beat Mississippi State by 3, and I think Texas A&M is a better team than LSU. My prediction is Jimbo Fisher. I'm going with the coach here, and I think he's going to light these guys up. I think they're having a tough week of practice right now, is my guess, over in Texas A&M land. I just think their defense is for real. I think they're going to keep low scoring with Mississippi State. I think Arkansas would score a lot more points on other teams than Texas A&M, and I think they're going to keep this game under wraps. I don't think it's going to take very many points for Texas A&M's offense to get to that spread number, because I think Mississippi State could potentially score less than 14 points, is my prediction.
It's going to be an interesting game, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, my friend. Let's move on to your first NFL pick of the week.
Well, I looked at that. At these games, and again, I like a lot of the games, but there's some tricks in there. You got to be careful. Especially this week, in pro football. But going to Thursday night's game, Luke. The Jags at the Bengals. Give me the -7.5. I gotta go the Bengals. The Bengals are the real deal. They're motivated. Jacksonville, as we know, is really, really flat. They're playing in Cincinnati, and give me the Bengals 7.5. I think they beat the Jaguars by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna agree with you with my first pick, Jim. I think that's a great pick. At home, rookie QB coming in, short week, kind of the same thing we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Let me give you some stats about the Bengals. We do a quarterly show here on the Fantasy Football Perspective called our seasonal expectations, and I bring in a couple fans from each team. And when I was talking to Nick, the Bengals fan that represented the Bengals, I was just asking what he thought, and he's like, our offense is going to be great, but our defense is going to suck. Well, if I told you before last week when they played the Steelers, the Bengals had the 10th ranked defense in the NFL, then went to the Steelers and picked off Ben Roethlisberger twice to add to their defense. Who knows what they're going to be ranked this week? They could be ranked like 6th, 7th.
Top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
They could be 5th.
And here's why that matters. Lawrence has 9 turnovers by himself this year.
Oh, yeah.
In 3 games. Short week. Bengals are going to come out. They apply unbelievable pressure to the opposing quarterback. Expect a couple turnovers. Expect the home field advantage to matter. People are going to show up to this Bengals game because they're good. They seem to be good this year. And when they are good, Cincinnati does support. So expect a full rockin' house prime time. Too much to handle. I agree with you 100%, man.
Yep. I think they're going to really win this game pretty easily. They're going to be at home, night game. Boy, the atmosphere down there is going to be incredible. Plus, not to mention, I'd say that they really want to beat Urban Meyer too.
100%.
Yeah. So look out. Good pick. I like it. We're both all over that one.
All right, Mr. Jim. What is your next pick of the week?
All right. So, we're looking at the Arizona Cardinals at the LA Rams.
Okay.
I like the Rams here at home minus the 4.5. Man, if you get Murray flustered and, he's just going to throw the ball up in the air, man. He's just going to scramble, run around, and instead of throwing it out of bounds, he throws it right down the middle of the field. So I look for the Rams to apply a lot of pressure to Murray. They're going to obviously probably spy him. He's the main weapon there. So I think that McVay will be ready for him, and the Rams easily beat the Cards.
Yep, that could be an interesting game because Kyler Murray's so electric, but I can definitely see he did show some reckless abandon last week a couple of times, just launching it up there and seeing
the last 2 weeks he has, and he's amazing. He's amazing to watch, and he does pull off some amazing things. But I think McVay is going to be ready for that. He's going to have that, and Rams defense is probably, this is going to be one of the best defenses they face all year.
So Rams minus 4.5. What are you doing in regards to buying points on this one?
So looking at this in 4.5, I'm probably looking at buying it, getting it to 3. So buying 1.5 here on this one.
And the first game, are you getting it to 6 or are you getting it to 7?
The first game, I probably just get to 6.5 by a whole point.
Yep. Okay, just curious.
Get under a touchdown. So the Cincinnati game, I'll get it to 6.5. The Rams game, I'll get it right at 3.
Yep, that's what I would do as well. I like that. My second pick of the week, this one I looked at all day, and this game just blew up at me. We got 2 teams that the only reason this spread is so close is because they're both struggling. But let's be real. We know that Kansas City can explode at any time, and they have been playing so poor. They are only -7 at the Philadelphia Eagles, who just looked abysmal last night on national TV. I think there's something also to a team that playing on Monday night off to a short week going into a game like this. It messes up your schedule as a professional. I remember if you off of a bye week back in high school football, it's just a weird week. You know what I mean? What's usually a rest day is not a rest day. When you're usually getting into stuff, everything's pushed back, delayed. It just messes up your routine. Every time I watch the Chiefs, I'm just waiting for them to explode. Is this the week? They have a weak defense, the Philadelphia Eagles, and Clyde finally got the running game going last week. They put up 101 yards or something like that. Do they start relying on the run game a little bit more, open up the pass? They just signed Mr. Josh Gordon to add a different element to that receiving corps. I think they finally put it all together and win by 10 to 15, 14 points.
Be anxious to watch that game.
Yep, it's going to be a good one. All right, what is your last pick?
Revenge. It's a revenge. It's revenge time up near Boston.
Uh-oh.
The Buccaneers at the Patriots.
And who are we?
Don't tell me that Mr. Tom Brady ain't going to go in there and want to whip the crap out of Mr. Belichick and show everybody who he really is. So give me the Buccaneers minus the 6.5. I like the Patriots quarterback. I really like him. Belichick's a great coach. He's going to be ready, but I'm going to tell you at the end, I think there's going to be too much adrenaline flowing in that game for Tom Brady to come back into the Patriots stadium, go back where he's, basically that's been a home for how many years. And, look out. I think he's going to show everybody, who he really is as a quarterback, and they're going to have that team ready to play, and Belichick's in trouble come Sunday night.
I love that pick, Jim. I love that pick so much that I am, in fact, taking the Buccaneers as well, my man. I love it. We are on the same damn page, audience, today. I love this. I really do like when I agree with you because I feel like you're really good at this. Minus 6.5. Are you kidding me? The Patriots just gave up 20 points to Jameis Winston. Are you kidding me? I know the Patriots are going to be amped up. I know it. But let's not pretend. I want to bring up the box score to last week when the Buccaneers played the Rams. They gave up 34 points, okay? That has nothing to do with Tom Brady. Tom Brady played a hell of a game. He was 41 for 55 with 432 yards passing.
Right.
Against a better defense than what he's getting ready to play. It's going to be just a pure annihilation. Tom Brady's going to be revenge.
It's revenge night. It is. That's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it revenge night. I'm telling you, look out. Hey, let's just make it a lock.
Let's do it. Let's lock this sucker in, dude.
Sunday night, lock it in. Revenge night for Mr. Tom Brady. He's going to prevail. He's going to win by and cover the spread. Maybe 2 touchdowns, if not more than that. Look out.
I love that. I'm locking that in, too.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up on that game.
This is one of those, we look at that and we're like, what in the world? That doesn't make any sense. I will probably push that to minus 6 instead of 6.5 to the audience.
And I bet you if you look at the stats, how many times has Tom Brady lost 2 games in a row? I guarantee you his stats are probably overwhelming. I guarantee you.
Let's look at that up.
The very next game, I don't think he's lost 2 games in a row very many times.
We got to look this up. I mean, he's been in the career forever.
It's got to be in there. 22-3. Did I see that up there?
Yep, 22-3.
The Patriots are 2 in a row. They went a combined 22-3 to close out the season. So look out. I just no way he's going to lose 2 in a row. I agree with you. He's not going to face as tough a defense as he did last week, and they're going to be amped up. I mean, the adrenaline's going to be flowing. I mean, not only – and don't forget, about the tight end. He's coming back there too. Gronkowski.
He's gonna score some points.
The Gronk is coming back too.
Yeah.
So look out.
Some other stats to kind of back this up a little bit that I was reading. The Patriots have no threat of a run game, and they had Mac Jones throw the ball 51 times last game. I need to fact check this because I heard this on The Herd with Colin Cowherd, but he said rookie QBs the last 36 starts that have thrown the ball over 50 times in a start are 3-33. So
wow,
they don't have a true identity, it seems like, on the offensive end for the Patriots. They can't run the ball. They can't pass the ball. And here comes the big bag Buccaneers that haven't been playing well defensively. I think it's time to get right.
Yeah.
So I love that. Lock of the week for both of us. We're doing 2 locks of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We're putting our money where our mouth is. I love that. All right. So this wouldn't be our show if we didn't bring in our special guest, the Spread Master, and his good brother, the Spread Buster, and see what they think about the game of the week. And this week, the game of the week was no other than Arkansas at Georgia. Georgia 18.5 favorites. Woo! Seems steep to me.
I'm telling you, it seems steep. For watching Arkansas play, two real good football teams and prevailing. I mean, I'll probably bet on that game, and I'm going to take the points with Arkansas.
Yeah.
I don't know what the spread master or the spread buster.
What do you say we change this up and pick a closer game? What do you say about that? Because let's do that.
I don't know. I like that game. I think they ought to pick it. I like it.
What about we let the spread master pick that, and we let the spread buster pick Cincinnati and Notre Dame?
Okay. No, I think those are going to be 2 good football games.
There's some pretty good games this week with Ole Miss, Alabama, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and Arkansas, Georgia. Let's start with this Arkansas, Georgia. Georgia minus 18.5 favorites at home. What's that spread master think that game's going to go like?
Okay. All right, spread master. You've heard the game. It's Arkansas. They're coming off a big win. I know you know that, and they're going against Georgia. The spread is 18.5. Will Georgia cover the spread, or will Arkansas not need all those points and then keep it close, or even possibly win the game?
Highly doubtful.
He says that Arkansas is not going to cover.
Arkansas is not covering that spread, huh?
Says that Georgia's going to come out and clean their clock. They're going to show him. He thinks that they're going to show him how to play football.
That Georgia defense is tough. I mean, my gosh, 5 stars all over that place. What does the spread buster think about this Cincinnati Notre Dame game? First off, what do you think about this Cincinnati Notre Dame game? What do you think?
I'll tell you what. I've got a rule, and I kind of slipped out of that rule this year, and every time I do, it bites me. One of my rules is don't bet on a Brian Kelly game. Stay away from it. As far as that's a personal thing for me. And that guy, if you pick him and you go with the spread, and he can definitely cover it. He's going to lay down, and he's going to look at all the stats, and he plays just to win the game. If he could win by a half a point, he'd be happy. So, I just don't bet on that. I mean, I don't really know who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
It is at Notre Dame. Luke Fickell, man, there's one thing about Luke. Now, he's going to pull the trigger. He's not afraid to go for it on 4th down, even in his own territory. I mean, he's a risk taker. He's got a good offense. The defense is pretty solid. So this is going to be a good football game. I mean, what was the spread on this? Cincinnati minus 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I tell you, I think it's going to be close. Like I said, if I had to go, man, Notre Dame at home, probably. I'd take the points and go with Notre Dame.
Tell you what,
because it's the home team.
since he wins this game, they're in driver's seat to get to that playoff talks, man.
Yeah, no, I want Cincinnati to win the game. I'm just, I don't know something about Brian Kelly, man. He finds a way to win, and I don't care if he could win by half a point, he would. But Cincinnati's going to have their handful.
As an Ohio State fan, are you happy that Cincinnati's not on our schedule this year?
Oh, absolutely, they'd kill us.
Gosh. All right, so what's that spread buster think about the? Let's ask that spread buster. Is Cincinnati going to cover that?
Is Cincinnati going to cover the 2.5 over Notre Dame? He says the outlook's good.
Okay, I love it.
He's going with the University of Cincinnati to cover. Actually, it's really a good spread at 2.5. It's under a field goal, so
pretty much a pick 'em at that point.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. I think it is. So I like it.
I love that pick too. One more game I want to touch base on. Do you think Ole Miss can pose any problem against Alabama?
Well, if I remember right, the first time, Mr. Kiffin, played Alabama, he kept it close. He knows their plays. He knows how they operate. He knows the operations. Saban, he knows that too. And he even alluded that to, in the press conference after that football game. So Lane Kiffin's going to have his boys ready to play. And, I look for this to be a close game. I mean, Lane Kiffin's a great offensive mind, so he's going to know how to score against Alabama.
I think the craziest thing I've ever seen this week. Look at this over-under, Jim.
Holy moly.
It's almost 80 points.
That's like scoring, every like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, is this a Big 12 game? Did I miss something? All right. Do you have any? I know we said it's a little difficult this week. Do you have any, extra picks that you like to watch out for? That maybe some games not on the national broadcast to kind of.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I like the Arkansas and 18.5 points. I like that against Georgia. I think Arkansas is going to play football, but we're going to see. I like. Another game I really, really like is Louisville and Wake Forest. Wake Forest, good football team, like we just talked about. Them going against Carolina last week. They're going to play. I think it's -6.5. I like Wake Forest at home to take care of Louisville.
I like those picks as well. I think this
is. Then another interesting pick. This is kind of like, a shot, but LA Tech at North Carolina State. They're getting 19.5. LA Tech's playing some pretty good football. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think they're going to keep it close. I kind of like that pick too.
Louisiana Tech at NC State.
Give me the 19.5 points. I'll probably throw a little money on that. I think that they've got a pretty decent football team.
Those are some sneaky picks. I really like those.
Yep.
What do you think about?
Like I said, I like that. And then Western Kentucky at Michigan State. I can't overlook this game either. I'll probably put a little money on this. Michigan State at home -10.5. I really think they're going to, clean Western Kentucky's clock here. I think that Western Kentucky's got a good football team, but I think Michigan State covers that. They were kind of flat last week, but Michigan State being at home, I think they're going to do very well.
That line
so I kind of like that. Sense. And then the last game, that I have a little bonus pick is Liberty +1.5 at UAB. Give me Liberty. Liberty's just got an explosive offense. They got a good coach. I always say they got God on their side too. So, but I think UAB, they're a decent football team, but I think Liberty's just too explosive on offense. The quarterback is amazing. They got a great running game. And they're getting a 1.5, and I think they win the game, outright.
Right. Yep, that's a good pick. It looks like their offense is just crazy.
It is. It really is.
Well,
and I don't think UAB is going to be able to stop their offense. That's why I think they win the game outright.
I think you had some great insight today about, buying points going into these games. I think gives you a new perspective on how to bet these the right way. Something we really haven't touched base on. Maybe we should have touched on it earlier, but a lot of these casinos, and if you're in a state where it's legal, these betting apps allow you to buy points. So take advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Take advantage of that.
Yep.
It does
Gotcha.
change the odds, but worse odds, but pushing the bet or winning the bet is better than losing the bet outright. All right, Mr.
Great
Jim.
week. Great week. It's going to be a tough week. I can't wait to watch football this weekend. I'm looking forward to the Thursday night game and the Friday night game. I'm looking forward to college football on Saturday. It's going to be a great week. This is a real test this week on college and NFL, Luke.
This week is crazy. Tons of close games, tons of close spreads. We'd had to do our homework this week, ladies and gentlemen, on the football betting perspective. Jim, I appreciate you filming with me on Tuesday instead of Wednesday this week. We're smashing spreads together, baby.
Smashing spreads, beating spreads, smashing them.
I love that.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, everybody. And remember, this is our perspective. I hope you all have a great night. This is still going to come out on Wednesday. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video. I share this on Twitter, Facebook. Share this to everybody that you know. Get the word out there. Let's win you some money. Jim, any final words, my friend?
It's at 4-0 on the college locks. 4-0 on the college locks.
It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Another lock of the week. Locked and loaded. Let's win that cash. Tune in next week here on the Football Betting Perspective. As always, thank you, Jim. And have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Peace.